born and raised in Kenya. Went to college here for a few years and then finished in California. And I had the opportunity to, have both the Kenyan lifestyle and the American lifestyle, and then sort of mesh them into one. I think one, I would not have necessarily like gone for a degree in international relations, but my parents were very insistent on you must have a degree, and that's the one I chose. I thought maybe I'll be work for the UN or something. Like my mom worked for the World Bank, so I had that sort of line in mind. I was good with languages, so I was like, maybe I'll be a translator. Like, I don't know. I had no idea. So just like this is still like rolling with punches, right? And graduated in 1999. I just aged myself a lot, so sorry. Yes, I'm 43 years old, and happily so. After graduating, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I knew international relations or political science, like that situation was not quite what I wanted to do. My sister was working in New York for all these like amazing fashion companies, and she had this amazing life, and I was like, I would not mind a part of that. And I was always that person in my growing up years. Like, I loved beauty, like I loved fashion in some way, not necessarily apparel, not necessarily clothing, but the face was always interesting to me. And then I went to find out that, fashion is very many things. It's clothing, it's accessories, it's eyewear, it's beauty. And I found out that somebody can actually have a career in the beauty industry when I found my true love for it. So I decided to venture into there, but I always did that sort of on the side. And yes, as you said in my biography, whatever, I did a makeup course. My dad sent me, he managed to send me to do a media makeup course, because for me, inside of beauty, I love just clean beauty. I would never have done special effects makeup, that type of thing. So I went to do a media makeup course, and I just, sort of held that under my belt. Finally came back home in 2007 with my soon-to-be husband then. We've been married for 12 years now. So came back home and sort of hit the ground running. Where the industry was at that time was a very infantile stage. Literally, I came and found, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 professional makeup artists that were working in the industry. So it was quite easy for me to make a name for myself quite quickly. I came back home with a big suitcase full of all sorts of products, a great portfolio because I'd been working behind the scenes in many places and, with all the professional photographers and models, and came back with a nice portfolio and came to work in media makeup. So went to all the, the magazines, the TV stations, the newspapers, whoever was in media, showing them my stuff, and got hired quite fast in a bunch of things. And then what happened, what was a breaking point for me into getting into entrepreneurship was I'm working in this industry, doing amazing work as a makeup artist, getting good gigs, great. Running out of product. I don't have, this foundation. I need that lipstick, I need to refill. So where do I go and buy? Everyone, they're like, oh, go to this beauty shop or that pharmacy, this is where people buy makeup. Everything I was finding was so ridiculously overpriced. Second of all, wrong product for us. Not working on our skin tones, I'm like, no, no, no. Okay, I just need, I mean, I don't need that really white foundation for my kit. Like, I need the right color. So, not finding stuff. And so that's where I found the gap in the retail cosmetic space because it 100% existed. So, what I decided to do after suffering for a few, like maybe a year, was tell my husband, one morning in January of 2009, you know what? I'm just going to make my own. And that's where SuzieBeauty was born. But I'm going to take you back because I lie. My best friend Kathy tells me like, no, on my balcony in Piscataway, New Jersey in 2004, you told me one day you'll have your own product line. I'm like, what? Oh, okay. So I guess it's always been at the back of my head. That's why it was so easy to like delve into. So yes, so I started developing. That was the beginning of the research development situation. My husband, fortunately, was my co-founder and clever enough to know the legalities, like help me make sure I register the brand, make sure I, the trademark and the company, and just like get that stuff out of the way as I do my creative. Because I was probably just going to the creative and like not do anything else. That's how us creatives work. And then so he was by my side through it. Did my R&D for literally many months. Found out quite quickly that nobody had ever created makeup in Kenya. And that's why it makes it Kenya's first beauty brand because, I was like, where do who can I call to manufacture, this powder that I've created with my chemist? How can I make many of them? Nobody can do it here. All the raw materials don't exist. We would have to import every raw material, every machinery. And in that case, then obviously we would have to import expertise. So made no sense and no need to reinvent the wheel because there's a lot of contract manufacturers all over the world that could go according to my specifications. And so that's what we did. So we spent the first year, my R&D, and then we traveled. We went to the US, we went to a few countries in Europe, we went to a few countries in Asia, just looking for that right manufacturer who would understand what I need. And we did find them finally. And by the end of the first year, so the end of 2009, I had a product line created. And then I spent the second year actually just like testing what I'd created. I created 32 different product lines, which included all sorts of makeup and then skincare. And I did create also a full range of brushes for application. So testing that, just making sure I got, what I want. Hello. So what I wanted it to be would be right, and tweaking it where I needed to tweak. This green eyeshadow just needs to be a little bit deeper, or that the black isn't black enough, or the eyeliner needs to be a bit creamier, whatever it was. So I was just tweaking here and there, and then year 3 I spent fundraising, there was nothing fun about that, because fundraising for a startup company, because that's what I was, as much as I'd been working in the industry for all those years, I was still as a company, it was a startup, and they want to know how many units you've sold, the end. And I'm like, no, I need the money in order to have the units to sell. So that was a back and forth conversation for way too long with too many people, with banks. Banks would laugh me out the door. At that time, for sure, they were not ready for fresh, new, interesting businesses. And then it was a time, fortunately for me, that I was being able to speak with investor groups, which what we call them here is chamas, and they were, just like, a bunch of women getting together, and you put in, in the kitty like every month or whatever. No, so at that point they had started and it's not just women, it's men also, started formalizing themselves and registering the investment groups as businesses that could actually invest in businesses. So, and they were interested in looking at fresh, new, interesting, even startups. So finally, yes, we did manage to get 2 investment groups interested and to invest. So that's how I got my initial funding. And then also through their influence, got the remaining amount that I needed from a bank loan. So managed to get the business started, managed to launch the brand into the market. I decided very quickly that I know I need to just use existing outlets, where people actually go to buy makeup. Let me just use that because they have the footfall, they have the clientele. So let me bank on that instead of starting my own like shops. And of course I can't afford that, the mall rents and all that. So started there, and so did that for a while. And then 4 years into running the business, I was looking for a very strategic partner. At this point, we had Eric and I, my husband and I, had reached a point where, we've literally done all we can with our resources, with our capabilities, with our how we know how to run a business. We learned so much on the job, and through this, I hope you guys are making notes. Yes, it's a lot about making different choices based on what you're experiencing. And yes, learning on the job a lot was, priceless, because nobody can teach me now what to do about my business, because I've been the product developer, I've been the finance manager, which I know nothing about. I've been the CEO, which I know nothing about. I've been the delivery girl. I've been the tea making girl. So every bit of the business I've been a part of. So even by this time, when we're looking to a very, very strategic partner, I know where we can go and where we can't go. And that's where strategic thinking is completely important, because actually I'm going to go back a little bit, even from the beginning. When we were fundraising, we were very clear about what about the business we're going to give up, how we want to raise the funds. Is it debt? Is it equity? If it's equity, how much are we willing to let go of? What are we definitely not going to go above of? And we definitely did not go past those boundaries at any point. So for that, the clarity is extremely important inside of strategic thinking. So 4 years into the business, yes, we're looking for this very great strategic partner, and came across a group called the Flame Tree Group, a publicly traded company that they were also interested. He's my director. He's always been interested in makeup, and he has very many FMCG brands under the group. And so one of the industries that he'd never ventured into was actually makeup. And he's like, I've always been interested. You know it. I don't know it. I've sort of looked into it and I don't understand it. you get it. So come, let's So we talked slowly. We talked over many months. One of his definite non-negotiables was that it was an acquisition situation as opposed to giving equity or getting debt. And so after thinking about it long and hard, very, very, very months of talking back and forth, we agreed to sign the deal. And so that's been since early 2016. So actually coming up, it will be almost 5 years that we've been under the Flame Tree Group. So I say they acquired the brand and they acquired me. And so I've been able to run the brand, I'm going to say, under a very much stronger backbone. All the little issues that we've had through the years of running a business, you guys who I'm sure many of you run businesses who are listening, it's just not easy. There's nothing easy about it. It's from planning, understanding the market, strategy, cash flow. So there's so many nuances into running a business that one person, it's very difficult to do 100% correct. And you need that help behind you. So while I had myself and my husband, just the two of us, who'd never run businesses before quite that way, building and brand building for me was extremely important. So I was very into the brand building, and he was running the business end of things as much as he could, and that comes to its operations, its logistics, its finance. So we agreed to the deal, and we signed on. And so it's just been easier for me to be able to run the brand in a better way and to build the brand. And that's what we've been doing for the many past few years. Right now, we're all going through this incredibly ridiculous situation, and all businesses are going through it together. Being united in this common denominator is very helpful, because we're all just like hugging each other and trying to just deal with what it is. So I have come to a situation where, fortunately, in 2018, I came to the realization that I need to maybe not separate, but SuzieBeauty and SuzieBeauty are two different entities, and to make them be known as such. So because I came to a point where I get to a place, I'm going to an event or whatever it is, and they're like, "Hi, SuzieBeauty." I'm like, "Yeah, so my last name is not Beauty, it's Wakabi." So Susie Wakabi and SuzieBeauty are two different things. So under Susie Wakabi comes the brands that I want to have created. And the main one is, of course, SuzieBeauty, who is my firstborn child and who will always be there as my firstborn. But I want to do more. And like Emanuela read in my bio, my purpose is to be an instrumental part of growing the African beauty industry. And so there's so much to do, and I found out that there's so many things that are possibilities. So so I have separated the two in some way. Even trademarking my name has been important. I learned that from my good friend Gina Din. She's like, you must trademark your name, because your name, you must be able to use it forever. So that's one of the things that I've had to do, and with very much pride. Okay, so that, and then so I've created one of my new projects right now is a podcast that I'm doing. It's called the Susie Wakabi podcast, And it's to, the purpose of it is to have candid conversations with interesting African entrepreneurs, personalities. There's so much going on this continent, and it's okay. I lie, it's not only this continent, it's the world. We've found out that we are all human beings during this period. There's so many people that I've met through the decade that I have to, let their story be known in their own way. So that's why, okay, I've been interviewed. I've talked so much since my first interview was, I think, in like 2008 or 2009. So I've talked a lot to very many people. So it's very easy for me to pull the relevant information out of all these amazing personalities that people may or may not know about, intricacies inside of them that people might not know about. So that's what my podcast is about. So please follow that, the SuzieBeauty podcast. So that's what I'm dealing with a lot right now, but there's still more. I'm still creating more stuff, which there's some I can't talk about yet, but if you follow me on all my social media, everything is SuzieBeauty. You will see the transitions and the developments and all the fun things that are coming up for sure. So, Emanuela, I know this has not been an hour, but I think I'm done talking about myself. I would love to interact with people now.
Fantastic. Thank you, Susie. And indeed, you've said a lot of things, even though it wasn't covered within the hour. You have said a lot of things, and I was taking notes. And in fact, strategic thinking is not just one component, it is a combination of several components. You've talked about identifying a gap and trying to fill it, as you started off, when you realized that there were no makeup products here and there. So you saw the gap and you jumped into it. You've also talked about research, that research is important. And I like that point specifically, because people tend to think that getting into a business, you just get into a business, and then when you don't get the return on investment, then you start asking yourself, what did I do?
Then you get frustrated.
Exactly, you get frustrated. So you research, as you've mentioned, you travel to Europe just to talk to different suppliers and see the quality of products. So research is key. You've also talked about establishing structure. As a startup, when you started off, you wore many hats. You were the tea girl, the business development, you did this and that. Then eventually, you realized that to grow, you needed to have some structure in place. So that is when, again, you went into the partnership, or rather the acquisition with a Flame Tree. I hope I'm correct with that. It's Flame Tree.
Yes.
Fantastic. You've also talked
about the Flame Tree Group,
The Flame Tree Group, okay. You've talked as well about the importance of having an organization culture. Right from the start, you were aware about your boundaries, that your business would not cross. And that is also important. You must stand for something. Your business must stand for something. And it is important as well. And I'm very curious, when you made that choice, how did you communicate it with your staff, with your partner, so that you were all speaking within the same language? Maybe you might want to say something about that.
Sure. So for whatever reason, I don't know if because I'm the founder and this is my baby, but where SuzieBeauty is concerned, I have the strongest gut feeling, like whatever my gut says about it is what has to go. And then I don't sway. So nobody can sway me. So even if it was, hey, this person is offering 50 million shillings, and then you just sign on this dotted line. If it does, no. If it doesn't feel right, it's not gonna happen. The feeling, because it's my brand, it's my business. So that's the difference between brand and just like running a business. importing cars, right? It's not necessarily a passion. It's not necessarily something that comes from so deep within. But this thing that I've created from scratch, which never existed before, which will never exist again unless I'm there. So just having that passion for the business is so important. I have 3 P's inside of business running, business creation: passion, perseverance, patience. Because if you don't have those, you are absolutely going to falter, fall, fail. They say, what is it? 95% of startups fail in their first year.
Absolutely.
And I understand that completely.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
So
okay.
there we go.
And you also finally spoke about being strategic, and that I think is also linked to your vision. When Flame Tree acquired your brand, you remain to continue playing an active and critical role into your baby, like you've referred
So
it.
that was not an option. If they didn't take me on, then I wouldn't have signed.
Fantastic. So having a clear vision as well is important when it comes to strategic thinking. So again, I'm going to go back to the question that I asked earlier, because this is important. As you've elaborated, there are certain things that you might do without requiring a lot of financial resources. But really right now, looking at COVID and where we are currently, many staff have been laid off and will probably continue for a particular period of time. Companies are complaining about the financial resoures. Yes, they have great plans, but it is very difficult to achieve anything tangible without money. So when we speak about strategic thinking, especially during this time, are we talking about doing more with less? Is that what strategic thinking is?
I think that's what it is now. You have to completely maximize on everything else that is not the norm. Now, for me, I'll tell you, in my business, because in March, we had to close the shops. We reopened in April. Still, nobody wants to be touched in their face. Still, nobody wants to buy a lipstick because everyone has a mask on. What are we doing next? What are we doing to keep this going? So for me, it was for sure going online harder. We've always had an online business going, but still, it was very mediocre, and it wasn't that important. We have our shop, so website is not that. No, now the website is on and popping. All our social media handles are on fire. That is not it's thinking to what can work best right now. And for me personally, it's of course going online more. And I think for more people, who knew Zoom last year?
Good question.
Right? Who was the things that we've had to learn and roll with punches with. I think we're a lot stronger. And everyone needs to understand. Hopefully you all understand your businesses very, very well, whereby you know enough that, is it online? Is it, going door to door with a mask on? I don't know what your business is. What is that thing that you need to do to make this work so that your business does not die? If it's not, the malls retail is suffering the most. Of course, restaurants, hospitality. Can you imagine the airlines, how they've suffered?
Yeah.
So what are you doing to not just sit about and look at the wall and die? So just rolling with the punches and being on your feet and just figuring out what can it be that makes it fine. And everyone is very patient with each other right now. If I say, you know what, my darlings who come and buy makeup every day at Yaya, we're not open. So can we deliver to you? You know, what is that thing that's going to make that customer still stay with you?